guys, I'm Laura Vitale. On this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I'm going to show you how to make pasta alla siciliana. It is so good. It's pasta with roasted eggplant. It's got cubes of mozzarella stirred in the end. Super, super delicious. Before we get started, let's go over the ingredients. You're going to need some pasta, preferably like a tube kind, either rigatoni or penne, but I'm using ziti. You're going to need a medium onion, finely chopped, some mozzarella, some garlic minced, a fresh eggplant, salt and pepper, 28-ounce can of crushed Italian tomatoes, and you're also going to need some basil and Parmigiano Reggiano to finish off the dish. Okay, first thing you want to do, get your oven to 400. Second thing you want to do is get a big pot, fill it with water, give it a nice generous sprinkling of salt, and let that come up to a boil. So, let me tell you the history about this. I first had this at a little restaurant that my father's friend owned years ago, and I fell in love with it. But I wanted to know what was in it, so I said, hey Luigi, can I come in the back kitchen and you show me how to make it, because I love this dish. So he showed me how to make it and I loved it, but the only different thing that I'm doing is instead, the eggplant he usually fries it, but I'm trying to cut back on that, so we're going to roast it. It's just going to be as delicious. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut off a little bit of the skin, like that, give it feet so it doesn't wobble. I'm also going to cut a little bit more skin because I like the texture of the skin, but it can be a little bit bitter. So I'm just cutting it with my knife, but you can use like a vegetable peeler. I like the texture of it, but I don't like that it's, it can be a little too bitter. So I cut about half of the skin off all around. I'm going to cut this right down the middle. And I'm going to cut this into pretty big, if I can get it cut, into pretty big cubes. Because if I cut them too small, when I roast them, they won't hold their shape. So something about that size is perfect. Last one. Okay. I'm just going to move this close to me. And I'm putting this on a baking sheet that's lined with aluminum foil just for easy cleanup. And I'm going to drizzle this nicely with some regular olive oil. You can use extra virgin, but you don't have to use anything too expensive. I'm going to season it with salt and pepper. Now what we're doing is like roasting the eggplant to give it a head start. And when it roasts, it gets almost caramelized around the edges, and that's great flavor. So I'm just going to toss this with my fingers to make sure that oil's coating all the eggplant. And eggplant does soak up oil quite a bit, so I think I'm just going to put another little drizzle over the top. It comes out so little out of this bottle. So now I'm going to put this in the oven, and it's going to cook for about 20 to 22 minutes or so, just until it starts to cook down and develop a little color around the edges. Now while that's baking, we're going to work on the sauce because it takes about the same amount of time to make. So in this pan here, I have about 2 tablespoons of olive oil over medium heat. I'm going to add my onions, just like so, and I'm going to season them, with a little salt and a little bit of pepper. Give these a little stir, and they're going to cook for about 5 to 6 minutes until they become nice and translucent and they've cooked down quite a bit. Onions look awesome, so now we're going to add in our minced garlic. I didn't add it when I added the onions because otherwise the garlic would overcook and become bitter. So now we're going to let this cook for another minute or so until the garlic is cooked, and we'll add our tomatoes. Just adding my tomatoes. Looks awesome. Giving this a nice stir. I'm going to season it with salt and pepper. Just like that. And I'm going to let this cook over medium heat for about 15 minutes. At this point, now that your sauce is nice and thick, we're going to add in our roasted eggplant. Just scrape them off. They're beautifully roasted. They have some gorgeous color on them. They're going to be awesome in this. Okay. Set that aside. Give this a nice big stir. Incorporate the eggplant in the sauce. Check it for seasoning at this point. And this is also the perfect time to add your pasta to the boiling water because this is going to cook for another 8 to 9 minutes and the pasta takes about the same amount of time to cook. So, let that cook for 8 to 9 minutes, including the pasta. Drain the pasta, and then I'll meet you back at the counter to finish the whole thing up. Our sauce looks perfect. Some of the eggplant is still chunky. Some of it is like spread out through the sauce. It's so good. Wait till you try this. I've also drained my pasta, and I'm gonna add this straight to my sauce. I'm also gonna add in some fresh basil that I've just cut up. Before I stir this anymore, I'm gonna add in some Parmigiano Reggiano, about, I don't know, as much as you like really. I'm gonna say that's good. That looks good. Now we're gonna stir this up. Now the sauce is nice and thick. It's exactly how it should be. You don't want this to be like a watery sauce. You want it nice and thick so it adheres to the pasta. That's good. Now we're gonna add the mozzarella. Now I'm using the mozzarella that's not in like the water pack, but it's like in the dry pack, because if it's too watery, it's gonna water down the sauce. And I cut that up into nice cubes, and very quickly, at the heat of this, is gonna start to melt the mozzarella. Just mix it in like so. That looks good enough for me, because the more it sits, the more the mozzarella melts. But I've got to give this a taste. I can hardly wait. I want a piece of everything. I want eggplant, the pasta, and the mozzarella. I love this. I love it so much. I'm going back in for more with the same fork, because I can. It was so simple to prepare. It's really good for you. We didn't fry the eggplant. It is so easy. You guys gotta go in your kitchen and make this. And to get the recipe for it, go to www.laureninthekitchen.com. I'll see you next time. Bye!